How is everyone doing on today? I hope you are doing well. This is Venesia Williams Empowers. We have a phenomenal lineup for our Empowering Women to Win gathering on today. This is our virtual gathering where we equip, we empower, we educate to help you to elevate to your next level. Listen, I need you to start to begin to swipe and invite. I need you to share. I need you to tag some friends. I need you to raise the energy up just a little bit higher because we got some phenomenal, amazing speakers on today. We are discussing becoming tomorrow's empowered woman. That's the discussion on today. What can you do to become tomorrow's empowered woman? Meaning, what can you implement today? What can you do today to become tomorrow's empowered women? Why? So that you can empower other women too. Because it's all about empowering each other. That's what Empowering Women to Win network's about. Just coming together, connecting, collaborating, and really beginning to encourage and empower one another. I'm going to not keep you long because I know you all are excited and definitely want to hear from our speakers on today. And I definitely want them to introduce themselves to you on today. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to invite each and every one of them on so that they could share who they are and what it is that they do. And then they're going to share some of their stories, their expertise with you on today, and it's going to be phenomenal. You're not only going to be mentally empowered, you're not only going to be spiritually empowered, but you're also going to be emotionally empowered too, because I don't know about you. We can say, we just living by faith and sight, but sometimes, we need that extra little oomph, that extra little ignite to really jumpstart us. And that really does tap in from our emotions. It comes from tapping into hearing somebody's story that you think to yourself, oh my goodness, I thought it was only me. Has that ever happened to you before? You've heard somebody's story and you're like, I thought it was only me. Or wow, if they could go through that, then what I'm facing, it don't seem that bad. Have you ever heard somebody's testimony or somebody share what they've overcome and you think to yourself, like, you just want to pick yourself right back up. You just want to give yourself a slap and say, listen, girl, get up, get over it. It's not that much of a big deal. It's not that much of a big deal. So whatever you thought on today was that big deal in your life, I'm come to tell you today that it's not that much of a big deal, because whatsoever it is that we focus on, it maximizes in our life. So if you're focusing on anything today, I hope it's something good. I hope it's something good that you're focusing on, so goodness can be maximized in your life. Focus on the things that are good. Focus on the things that are positive. Focus on the things that you want to see enter into your life. So if you don't already possess it, if you don't already have it, those are the things. What's your burning desire? What's your burning desire? What is it? Is it the house that you want? Is it a relationship that you want? Is it a position that you want? Is it for you to just be in total alignment, mind, body, and spirit? Is it personal? Is it professional? Is it physical? What is that burning desire that you want? That you know that if I obtain this, if I can just achieve this, it's going to help me to fulfill my purpose. It's going to help me to move that much further in life. It's going to make me happy. Because let's just be real. Sometimes we just got a desire that's going to make us happy. And that's where we want to get to. We want to do things that make us happy. We want to entertain things that's going to give us joy, that's going to give us peace, that's going to give us happiness. Those are the things that I want to consume you on today. I need you to focus your mind on some happy thoughts. I need you to focus your mind and come on this broadcast ready. Meaning, what do I mean by coming on ready? I mean, just kind of filter out everything else that was going on today and just open up your hearts and open up your minds to receive from these phenomenal women that are coming in to share with you. They're coming in to empower you. I just want you to take that time out today to be open to receive. And enough said from me, because you lot hear me all the time. You lot must be loving my voice. You're loving my voice. So listen, I'm going to definitely invite our speakers on today. So, you know, with my broadcast, everybody knows this. There is nothing that is orchestrated. We just flow as we are led to flow. So we're gonna let we've got Kanisha. She's gonna introduce who she is, and we're just gonna go in that order. I'm gonna invite our other phenomenal guest speakers on. Let's see. Everybody on? Yes. Okay, great. So we're gonna go in the order of Kanisha. You're gonna go. Oh, hold on a minute. We've got another guest speaker. Lavinia, how comes I'm not seeing you, sweetheart?
Sorry, I'm on my way to an appointment. That's why.
Okay. Okay, what I'll do is I'll put you back in the studio until we can actually see you. When I see your camera on, then I'll bring you back on. Okay, go ahead, Kanisha. Tell us who you are, where you are tuning in from.
Hey, beautiful people. Hey, sisters on live. My name is Kanisha Brickring. I am in the United Kingdom. Yeah, that's where I'm joining you guys from.
And who you are, sweetheart. Like, what is it that you do, honey? We want to know. We might want to spend some money right now.
So I am a mother. I am a wife. I'm also a speaker and an author. And my goal is to reach the ladies as young as possible, to empower them and to show them who they truly are. Because what the world is trying to do is to lie to our ladies at a very young age. And I feel like that's what the world did to me. It told me I was nothing, told me I was useless, had me out there doing all kind of crazy. And when I found God, or should I say, when God found me in my mess, and he cleaned me up and he started to show me who I was through his word, through the people that he's touched to do his work. And I realized that I was way more than what I knew. And I started valuing myself. And I started loving on myself and really desiring to know more about who I am in God. And when I started to see who I was and becoming who I should be in him and walking in my true purpose, I decided to share this with as much young ladies as possible so that they do not mess up their lives trying to figure out who they are in the world instead of who they are in God.
That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. Why are us ladies, why are we so modest? We don't want to talk about who we are. We don't want to talk about what. Now, you're just looking at Miss Kanisha. What do you think that all of that was going on? No, I'd be thinking this young lady's in college or something. I would not think that she's a whole wife, that she's got this amazing movement, that she's so passionate about empowering young girls. And we're going to hear a lot more from her. But I'm going to give Miss Sandra her time to share who she is and what it is that she does also.
Amen. Thank you for the invite.
You're welcome.
I am a minister, a elder, founder of a Powerhouse Experience. It's a mission-driven organization that is dedicated to helping people reach greater levels in their businesses, in their personal life, in their spiritual life. That's one of the main things. And I do this through the activation of prayer. I have a movement called the Powerhouse Experience. And this is where we activate people globally to not only raise up others in the areas of prayer and intercession, but to also take that to their country, wherever they are, and activate others in this same arena. So I also do I'm in the single space. And so in that single space, I help single women come to a place where they are getting rid of those old mindsets and all those things that hang on and attach themselves to them that keep them from being attractive spiritually and naturally to the man that's supposed to find them. That's it.
Oh, that is so good. That is awesome, Sandra. You are doing such amazing things. And girl, I am in that single space, been in that single space for almost 10 years.
Wow.
So I definitely am excited to hear, some of your tips about being successfully single and just your story and your passion and everything, that is that you are doing. Alicia, did I say your name correct, sweetheart? You're on mute, Alicia.
Sorry about that. My name is Elisa. You were very close.
Elisa, how are you doing?
I'm excellent, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I'm so appreciative that you accepted the invite on today. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are, what you do?
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for the invite. I'm Elisa Bogarts. I'm the founder of Inspiration by Elisa. I'm also a transformational speaker and certified life coach and health coach, and I specialize in confidence. And so, I want nothing more than to empower women through self-confidence to make a positive change in their lives so that they can be happy. And it's my true passion to help people confidently be themselves and put themselves first so they can go after what they want in their life. And throughout the years, I've developed this huge toolkit of ways to increase self-confidence, and I've done it so that I could, help myself achieve my own goals and what I wanted out of my life. And I created the confidence method so I could coach my clients on these skills and be there to help them to go after what they want with confidence and do it a hell of a lot faster than I did. And I never really want anybody to be stumped by that question of what do you want? It can be such a tough question for so many of us. And it comes up a lot, as life changes and we embark on new things. What do I want with this? What do I want with that? And sometimes can be sort of stuck somewhere or maybe even be a bit miserable and not really know where to go. And so that's what I sort of made it my mission to help people with.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Listen, confidence is power. Confidence is really, I think, is real true beauty when that's the most beautifulest thing when you possess that self-confidence. So I'm definitely all for what it is that you do, because I think it's so key. Once you build up that self-confidence, it's just like you feel unstoppable. There's a new power to your walk, there's a new bounce, and you're like, okay, I can do this. You look in the mirror differently and you begin to see differently. So I definitely love that about self confidence and self-worth and everything to do with self-love. Jenny Lee, I know I said your name right. You are on mute, sweetie. Unmute, please.
Yes, you did. How could you get it wrong, right?
How are you?
I'm very, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. Oh, this is such a fun party right now.
I know, it's just like we're just having a girls' chat. I tell you, we should have just all been in our PJs.
Oh my gosh, yes, all that I want ever.
So tell us a little bit, Jenny, about who you are and what you do.
So in addition to me being an English teacher in Connecticut, I teach in inner city school in Hartford, and I live in West Hartford, Connecticut. I also I'm a life coach, and I focus on developing morning habits, especially for busy women and moms, making sure that the morning habits are habits of self-love and self-nourishment. I got into this because I was one of those undernourished, depleted, exhausted mom who wore so many hats, and my needs were, at the bottom because I was just like busy serving everybody else, right? And so then I learned about, oh well, but it didn't really end well with me because I was in this really low place in my life. And that's how I learned that I needed to put my well-being as a priority. And that's how I could serve the needs of my family, as well, my son, that was the priority at that point. So I could be more available parent for him, and I could be a better teacher. And I did that by prioritizing joy and happiness and nourishment first thing in the morning, because the mind at that point, when you just wake up, is the cleanest slate, and your brain is the most malleable and the most impressionable. And so when you put all of these positive things like gratitude, or the potential of how fun your morning habits are going to be, you would wake up eager, because there's so many of us who just find it so hard to wake up in the morning, right? Well, actually 70% of Americans, at least where I'm living, find that mornings are dreadful. And I can see that a lot of people wake up to jobs that they don't like, wake up to all the responsibilities. But where does your need, like where does it go? It's usually at the bottom, especially for the women. And women are the asset, right? For families, for communities, for businesses. Without these women, none of these things exist. So they need to be put first. Their being need to be put first, like soil, like the earth, right? You cannot grow anything when the soil is dry. It can only grow when it's fertilized, when it's loved. And that's what happens with so many women, busy women, moms especially. And so I prioritize fun and joy, picking. So we usually explore what is the most fun for you to do in the morning. And that way you could focus on pouring love in yourself first thing in the morning, nourish yourself first thing in the morning, so that you can go out in the world, creating your life, interacting with everybody else from a place of love, and having been nourished and having been loved. And yeah, that's how we create a better and happier world. Because then that when especially with mothers, right? When you are happy, you're creating a happy environment for your children to grow up in. And then that will be passed on to the next generation. And that's my contribution to the world, creating a happier, healthier world. Thank you.
Wow. Jenny, that is so amazing. That is amazing. That's really phenomenal. I'm just here thinking now, what can I add to my morning to make it more fun? So I'm excited to hear, some of the tips.
Absolutely.
We're gonna share, because it's so true what you said. I mean, especially as women, we're always pouring out and multitasking and caring for everybody else, but it's so important that we do set that time to care for ourselves, set that time to you know, prioritize ourselves, because when we're full, then we can help those around us. But if we're only pouring from a half, you know, empty cup, we're only giving that 50%. So we're actually doing them a disjustice when we don't take that time out to really fill up ourselves. So I love what it is that you do as well. So, ladies, should I all put you on the hot seat right now? Okay. So our topic today is becoming tomorrow's empowered woman. What would you say would be one of the number one challenges that you see today of women truly becoming their empowered self? And what do you think that we could do to change that narrative? Who would like to go first?
I could go.
Go ahead, Elisa.
I think that one of the big things is self-judgments. I think that, you know, a lot of women, we worry about perfectionism, right? So if something's not perfect, maybe we won't do it. Or if I'm not perfect, I don't have everything I need, then I'm not going to do something. We can stop ourselves. And just, you know, I think what we all need to realize is that we're all perfectly imperfect. You know, you're perfectly imperfect, I'm perfectly imperfect. And so getting stressed out and worrying about, you know, what other people might think, or if we're going to get something wrong or don't do something good enough, well, if we don't get it perfect, right, then maybe no one will criticize us. But the thing is that someone, you know, at some point is going to judge you or criticize you somewhere at some point, right? We can't please everyone because we're all so different. And we all have different perspectives, and what we see, like what I see as something being perfect, you may not see it. And we all see things in different ways. And then we very likely that we're also going to judge ourselves even harder, which can be even more painful. And it happens more frequently. You know, if one person can say something to you, but what do we say in our heads all the time? You know, how many more times do we say these things in our heads? And so if you're resisting an imperfection, or you're about to maybe give up on something, or you're worried about what someone might say to you, what I'd suggest is to really try to catch it in the moment and acknowledge it. You know, the feelings are real right now. So feel them and get curious about them. And then ask if it's really true, and see if you can flip it to something that's more positive and more compassionate and more loving towards yourself. And this can be done by creating an affirmation, so that next time it comes up, you can, you know, do that little acknowledgement and feel it, but then, you know, tell yourself that you have a more positive way of speaking to yourself.
I did not send Elisa the questions. I did not send her the questions, okay? She is just awesome all by herself. Okay. That was awesome. Who else would like to share? Go ahead, Kanisha.
First of all, I just want to say to Elisa, I definitely get that for myself, where I'd be like, Ken, you haven't done enough, or Ken, you're not there yet. And I have to self-talk and be like, you've done a lot. And you might not be like where you want to be, and that's okay. You're working towards it. So definitely I believe in what you just said. Something that I would say that our ladies are struggling with, I strongly feel, is self-identity, like who they truly are. And I know that that is so important to really know or even identify with a positive you, because by identifying with someone positive or beautiful, loving, kind, you will thrive to be that. But if you're identifying to something negative, you know, down, moody, sad, you'll become more of that. It's like whatever you focus on, you know, you will become more of. And I saw that in myself, especially when I was suicidal, I was mostly focused on the suicidal thoughts, the suicidal tendency. I couldn't see beyond that, you know? And so my identity became that depressed single mother, anxious and suicidal. That was my identity, and that what was being spoken over me by the professionals. Oh, she's depressed. Oh, she's suicidal. Oh, she's anxious. She needs counseling. That's who I saw, you know? And so when I started, listening to people like TD Jakes, who to other people was a pastor, preacher, but to me, he was changing my mindset. I didn't see him as a pastor. I saw him as someone who was helping me change my thinking and not seeing the suicidal Ken, but the hopeful Ken. Okay, you're going through this right now, but if you can just get through today when it comes to your thinking, how you see yourself, what you feel about yourself, And for the first time, one day I looked into my eyes and I saw me, right? Before I would see nothing but pain, anxiety, depression, but I looked and I saw this beautiful girl, and I met me for the first time, and I realized that there's hope in my situation. And so I feel like when you identify with the hope of a better future, the hope that you can get it right, the hope that you can do better. I know that, okay, you struggle for a very long time, but there's hope that you can learn to do it better, do life better, because I was struggling at life. So when I identified with, okay, Ken, you got it wrong a lot, but by learning and hearing other people's stories and hearing how they did it and the steps that they took, it is possible that you too can get it kind of right. And even kind of right was good enough. So I feel like definitely self-identity, who are you? So I became hopeful. I wasn't there yet, but I was now, instead of the suicidal thoughts or the anxious Kenesha, the single mother, I was hopeful, Ken. I'm hopeful for tomorrow. I'm hopeful to still be alive and still have my children. I'm hopeful to one day be a wife or have a beautiful home, and everything that I was hopeful for, I wrote it down in 2014. And I believe by 2020, I had everything that I wrote down. So definitely self-identity for me.
Oh, that was so powerful. That was listen, girl, you trying to mess up all this good mascara, okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. Thank you for your transparency. That was so key. I definitely come in agreement with everything that you were saying. And I love what you said. Now there's hope. There's hope for tomorrow. Just really what I heard is just taking it one day at a time and just truly beginning to see you. And when you said that you looked and you saw you for the first time, I think that was just so beautiful that you just looked and saw yourself and you saw hopeful Ken. I hope you see him like empowered Ken now. I hope you see him gorgeous Ken, on fire Ken. Okay, because you are a phenomenal woman. You are amazing, and I just hope that you know that every day you becoming greater, girl. Who else wants to go next?
I can go next.
Go ahead, Jenny.
I just love what Kenesha just talked about, and Elisa too. And that reminds me of what brought me out of the dark night of the soul is actually making that decision that I don't want to be there anymore. I was at this point where, I was kind of immersing in my suicidal thoughts too, because I was hormonally imbalanced. I was exhausted. I was depleted. And I just wanted out. Just wanted out of whatever, because, of course, everybody thought that I was happy. Yeah, like, what more do you want, right? You had a husband, you have a beautiful baby, you have a nice house on this 4-acre land. There's not. Everybody thought that I was supposed to be happy, but no, I wasn't. I was exhausted all the time. I wanted to be somewhere else. I didn't want to be here, and so, I just decided I cannot live like this anymore. And and I also had a job that I was working while I had to wear all these other hats. And I was in a very dark place emotionally and physically, because I made a decision. My mind, my brain, I guess, or maybe the universe showed me a way. And that's pretty much what happened. And so at some point in my life where things kind of became unbearable, I made a decision that I wanted to be free. Then a road was open to me where it led me to a divorce. I got out of that environment where I could be with myself and reorganize things. Of course, things are always evolving, right? But then, because I made a decision that this has to be better, like this is better than before, but it needs to get better. And that's how I became a habits coach, really, because I decided I wanted to be free. I wanted to be happier. At one point, I just woke up one morning earlier than I would usually wake up. And it was in the middle of a life that I did not like, a job that I hated, a relationship that that was not something that I would choose. And I just, moved to that music. And that's how I started to meet myself. And I think that's really the point. I remember when Kanisha talked about, I'm not a religious person, but meeting themselves, that is based on like the truth, right? And that was the medium how I met myself. It was through the music. It was through the movement. And I just let go of whatever identity, whatever stamps that society put on me. And I just did whatever truthfully made me happy at that moment. And for me, that was dancing to my favorite music. And I consistently did that to generate joy for that day, for that morning, for that day. And then it continued, because I was consistently doing that the next weeks and then the next months. And that's how I connected with myself, through that honesty of what I really feel like the most honest that I could feel. And so that's kind of how it all began. I could talk about that.
Is amazing.
At this point, I feel like I'm rambling now.
No, that's I really understand what it is that you're saying. It's like you went through a rediscovery of you.
Yes, and that's how I reinvented myself, because I stepped out of the hamster wheel, because I stepped out of the environment that separated me from myself. And that's how I got to, again, reacquainted with myself. And then that was the beginning of everything.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Thank you, so much for your transparency, because it shows the core of why you do what you do. Like you said, you're a habits coach, so you have to begin to cultivate those habits within your own life to begin to help others find out what habits going to benefit them, that they need to cultivate in their life to be more joyful, more happy, more content, and get what it is that they need out of every single day. So I definitely hear what it is that you're saying, and helping others to really do the same and become their true self.
Yeah, thank you for that. It is because when I talk about habits, it's really the habit of joy, the habit of being happy, the habit of cultivating constantly, and asking yourself, what makes me the happiest right now? Instead of, like how we've been programmed of what we should do, of what is expected of us as women.
I want everybody to answer that question. We're going to come back to that question. What makes you happy? We're going to come back to that question, because Jenny's going to share some of her techniques. So we're going to come back to that question. I want you to write it down. What makes you happy? Because we're going to be all answering that at the end. That's one to think about. Miss Sandra.
Yes. Okay, so I agree with everything that everybody has said. And one of my main things that I stress is identity. Because many times if we get lost along the way on the journey, it changes the trajectory of our life, because we don't know who we are, or we have lost ourselves in a particular trauma or a particular event, and it has changed how we see ourselves, and how we even allow others to treat us, because we don't realize who we are. And so I found myself digging into this subject years ago after a divorce, and it brought me so much shame. It brought me so much. I did not realize that I lost myself in the marriage. That's number one. But I also didn't realize that after I left the marriage, that I didn't know how to start over. I didn't know how to find myself. I didn't know how to I didn't have the self-esteem that I needed, that I once had. And so I had to start all over again with a clean slate. Now I know this is not a religious platform, but I had to start with God. That was the way.
I'm a faith believer, but we respect everybody else's beliefs.
Yes.
I'm a faith believer here.
Yes. I did not know how to do it without God. And so I was able to do that. And then along the way, once I promised God one thing. I said, if you bring me out of this place, I promise you, I will teach your women how to do the same.
Ooh.
And so since 2014, I've been on that journey. Identity is number one. So I agree with what everybody has said, and you're spot on.
Amazing. I think that it's such key when you just sort of listen and really, hear some of the struggles to becoming becoming that empowered woman of tomorrow. And I think as well, one of the things that's needed is a lot more spaces like this, a lot more spaces where women can come together and we can empower each other through the knowledge, the wisdom, our experiences, our expertise, and just gather together. I think there's a lot of times we see a lot of separation, we see a lot of competition instead of us really understanding that we're co-laborers, where there's so much power in unity. You know, there's so much power in our different cultures, in our different beliefs, in, you know, and us just coming together just as women, just as mothers, just as leaders, just as, you know, professionals, singles, married, just coming together with all that we have and bringing it on the table so that we can use what we have as tools to build together. Because we're all building different, whether it's your family you're building, your business you're building, your ministry you're building, or you might just be in the place where, guess what, I'm just building me at this point now. And that never stops. You never stop building you know. So I just see that there was more, you know, spaces like this, and I love connecting with other women and other platforms that do things like this, because it's a chance to just show that unity. You know, my goal is to empower 1 million women to win in every single area of their life, financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, every single area. But I understand that I cannot do that alone. I understand that I need to connect. I understand that I need to collaborate. So when Sandra helps a woman and I'm connected to Sandra, guess what? I'm helping that woman too. When Kanisha helps a woman, you know, when Elisa helps a woman, or Jenny helps a woman, that's all a part of it. And when you understand that the vision is so much bigger than you realize that you cannot do this alone. And that's what I need each and every one of you to know, and those listening, that you're not doing this alone. Never. I think one of the things I find as women, we don't sometimes want to say, these 3 words, I need help. I need help. And that, you know, that could be just encouragement. That could be like, you need to get to this next place in your business and there's a particular thing that you need to do, but you're always just so used to trying to figure everything out yourself that you don't ask for help. And somebody connected to you might have exactly what it is that you need. That's why I always ask everyone at the beginning to say, you know, who they are and what they do, because sometimes we're sitting around tables with women and we're just like, oh yeah, we're swiping up and down and we're not really having that conversation, or we're not really understanding that, hold on, this woman has something that I need, or I've got something that she needs to help her. And I think that's how we truly become tomorrow's empowered woman, is when we understand that we're all here to help each other win. When you win, I win. And when I got that revelation, it just shifted my mindset, because I know exactly what it feels like to be torn down by women. I never thought that God would give me this vision to empower women. I was like, let me empower the men, okay? Me and the men get along just fine. But he uses, you know, sometimes those pain points in your life. And when you get actually healed from that pain, and now you realize that, hold on, I want to be the solution to that problem. There's a problem there. There's a lack there. There's a need there. So I want to be that solution. I want to bring women together. I want to actually remove those scales so that they can truly see that, you know what, we're all on the same team. We're all winning in different areas of our life, and us coming together is helping us win together. Wake up. Imagine just wake up winning every single day, having that mindset that no matter what challenges come, I'm still winning, because I'm falling in love with the challenges. Like, a challenge is there to get me to my next level. So when I see a challenge, I look at it differently now. I used to look at a challenge as like an obstacle, as a setback, of a place where I'm going to procrastinate. I'm not going to move now. This everything. Okay, I'm done. No, now my mindset has changed. I've seen that once I overcome this challenge, I look at it differently. I'm looking at the challenge now. How can I overcome you? What are you here for me to learn? Who am I going to help with this? Because this may not be for me. Because I realized that some of the challenges that I went through had nothing to do with me. It was to who I was going to be connected to. But I could say, listen, this is how I ended up getting through this. And guess what? You can do it too. You can do it too. And on that note, I would love for Kanisha to share, she shared slightly just a little bit about her story, her why, and her book that she has. I would love for you to share, and then we're gonna hear then after we're gonna hear from Sandra on some keys, some tips on singleness, because I got my notebook ready. And then we'll go along to Alicia, then Jenny. Go ahead, Kanisha.
So my story began way before I knew it. When I was younger, as a young child, I did not know my father. My mom was a single mom. My mom had many children. In my sight, she had over 12, but apparently there's more. But I was a lost girl, no mother. My mom had many of us, so she was working hard to feed us, so she was not around as much. I did not know my father. And I believe because of these absent parents, by the age of 13, I was looking for love in men. And I found myself searching for something that I didn't know. And by the age of 24, I was a single mom of 3 young babies from 3 men. And I realized then that I was following my mother. And that was something I really did not want to do. I did not want to follow my mother's footsteps. I despised my mother's footsteps. But I realized that I followed it because that was all I knew. I only knew what I saw my mother did. And so I was looking for love that I didn't know. I was looking for male figure that I didn't know what was the right way when it comes to male figures. So my mom had a lot of abusive relationship. I found myself in a lot of abusive relationship. So this thing that they call generational curse, I found myself in a lot of it, mentally, emotionally, physically, the way that I responded to situation, the way I found myself in situation. And therefore I found myself suicidal because I saw where my mom ended up. I didn't want to get there, and I didn't want my kids to get there. Not only was I suicidal, I was even thinking about taking my children with me because I didn't have anyone around me that I thought was worthy of giving them to. So in my young mind, my broken mind, I thought maybe it's best I take them wherever I'm going. And between that thought and between desperation, I cried out to a God that I actually hated. And when I think about hating God, I thought maybe somehow I knew that a higher power existed. Why would I hate something that didn't exist? And so I cried out to this God that I met during my mom dragging us to church on a Sunday after drinking and winding up on a Saturday. And once I cried out, I realized something was happening in my environment that I didn't understand. I did not understand spiritual things, but something was happening around me, in me, through me. And after that, my life just dramatically started to change. I was isolated for a while. I believe during this time, God worked on my mindset through people like T.D. Jakes. And I keep mentioning T.D. Jakes because that was one of the main person that I kept listening to over and over every day, every single day. TD Jakes was on. And what I realized was God was using TD Jakes to deal with my thinking. Every day I was reading the Bible, I had no clue what I was doing. I had no clue what I was reading, but I was reading. Every day I was praying. I didn't even know I could pray. Every day I was journaling. And what I did not realize that I had created through encountering God a habit, prayer, listening to positive things, praying, journaling. And through this, I saw a lot of bad habits and bad behavior and bad identity of myself drop off. And I saw a lot of change. Within months, I was married. And I wasn't married to the kind of boys that I would usually be with. I was married to a God-fearing, committed, faithful man that I did not choose. I say to him all the time, "You are not my type." But thank God that I didn't marry my type. And within months, God moved me from a very rough area in the UK to a very suburb, quiet family area that, and I've been trying to move for 3 years. Nothing happened. But as soon as I encountered God and I was committing to Him unknowingly, and I believe through His Spirit, within months, I was in university, graduated with my first degree. Just my life just did a complete U-turn. And the Ken that I knew, I look in the mirror and I no longer see her. Thank God. And out of my experience came my book, Suicide or Life, where I go in depth about my story and my encounter with God and how submitting to a God that I hated out of desperation, because I tried it all. I tried the alcohol, I tried the partying, I tried the fornication, I tried everything. I was forced to commit and submit to a God. And through submitting, I saw my life change completely. And so I put all that in my book in hopes that someone who is facing and dealing with the same situation or even similar, of not wanting to live because we keep messing up because we don't know how else to live this life. We only know what we know. That the book will save a life, a generation. I believe my story not only saved me, it saved my children and their children and their children. And I hope the same for many others.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Every time I hear your story, it's like I'm just hearing it over for the first time. Oh, I just thank God for you. I thank, for your boldness, your courage, and your heart for others. And I know that your book's going to make a great impact. Tell them again where they're able to purchase your book.
Suicide or Life can be purchased on Amazon. It's on many other platforms as well, but the main one is Amazon.
Amazing, amazing. We're going to bring Sandra on to share. Blessings, Queen.
Blessings, blessings, blessings. As I said earlier, a little bit of my story. The way I got into this space was I was married for 9 years, and I found myself out of the blue. All of a sudden, my ex-husband left without a word. Actually, what it was, I was out of town with the children. We took them to Disney World, and when I came back, the house was completely empty of beds, of furniture. I thought actually I had been robbed. That's what I thought. But I found out that he was gone. And so it took me quite a while to recover from that. Um, it took a lot of recovery, a lot of healing. But I found myself wanting to help others come out of maybe not that situation, but maybe there was some situation where you keep attracting the wrong kind of men, because I did experience that as well. I was in a broken place, and I thought, 5 years later, I would be healed. And so I began to date a young man, and did not realize, although he was in church, this young man was on crack, cocaine. And so I found myself praying for him more than I prayed for myself. Wrong, number one. That was the one red flag. But anyway, and then not too long after that, I got into another relationship, and this particular man was married. I try to be a woman of integrity, so I don't certain things I don't do, because it's just not right. And so after these two young men came into my life and then out, and that's a whole nother story in itself, because both of those two young men were snatched out of my life, just like my ex-husband was. When I saw that there's a pattern, something's happening here. Um, I talked to God about it. And I said, Lord, um, evidently I don't know how to pick a man. Evidently I don't have the mindset to choose right. And so that's where I began to start all over, finding out who I was and what I needed to do next. And so I'm going to give you 3 tips that helped me, and they're coming actually from one of my books, and it's called The Ultimate Guide to Chastity. And the first thing I want to warn you of is inviting fixer-uppers into your life, because you are tired of waiting, or you don't realize that you are not healed. You're bleeding all over the place. And these particular fellas can see it and they will be drawn to you. Ooh, I have some funny stories. But anyway, so one of the things is to beware of getting into relationships and you have so much on the inside of you that needs to be dealt with. Many times people don't like the process of healing, because sometimes it gets messy. Healing is messy. Healing, uh, it's painful to go through at times. And so many times people just don't want to do the work that it takes to heal, recover, and then move on. Okay, so that's number one. The second thing I want to bring to your attention is in that place where you know that you have something to offer, you know that you are a good woman at heart, you know that you have done the work, but you are very anxious about marriage. You're anxious about getting into a relationship. And what I recommend to women during this time, where you know you have done the work, you have gotten yourself together, and you are your perfect wife material. It is during that time that I recommend to get closer to your God. It is during that time that you take that time and you really begin to shine. You really begin to do all the things that you want to do. If it's your career that you want to, get elevated in, if it's your business, whatever it is that you'd like to do, this is your time to do it. Not worry and be anxious about marriage. because it can bring you into a place. If you don't work out these few little things here, you'll find yourself being very lonely. You'll find yourself being in a place of rejection. And that brings me to my last point. When you are rejected, it shows up in many different ways. And you'll continue to perpetuate the cycle of allowing men that do not deserve your time nor your attention to take up space in your life for the sake of having a relationship. I know Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, everybody, they look happy. You know, there's videos circulating everywhere, and everybody looks like it is a blast. But if you've been in a relationship, you know that it's not always roses and peaches and cream, that there is work. And so you want to, when you get ready to meet that person that you're to come into covenant with, you want to be your whole self. You want to be your best self. Not just saying it with your mouth, but actually self-reflecting and doing the work. And when you see that there are issues and problems in your personality, that's the best way I can put it. When you see that there's issues there, that is the time to say, hey, why do I do this? Or how can I do this better? It's not that you're picking yourself apart. You're just self-reflecting, and you know that you have some issues that need to be worked out. And if you're praying for a certain kind of man, you're going to have to be the kind of woman that can support that kind of man. If not, you'll find yourself in the same position, doing the same thing year after year after year, and you don't want that. You've done the work. You've healed. You've brought yourself into a place where you're proud of who you are. Now you need a mate or a partner who will complement that, not dim your light, not one that is jealous of who you are and your purpose and your destiny, but one that complements where you are. And so I recommend to women all over that it is very important as you are praying for a certain kind of man. And that brings me to another point. I wrote another a journal. It's a 30-day journal, Strategic Prayers for Your Future Husband. And once you begin to pray for a certain kind of man, you also need to be sure that you're changing as well. That's one of the best parts about this, because things will come to your spirit to let you know, okay, I need to change in this area. I need to get rid of my attitude here. I need to, this particular thing makes me raise up. Many times submission makes women uncomfortable. And so if that's something that you believe you need to work out, you need to work that out before you get married, not work it out once you get married. It's one of those things where you need to find out what you need to do, as well as how to pray for that particular man. You need to position yourself a certain way so that you'll be attractive. And you don't just have to pick the first thing that comes along. You get a choice. You have options. And that's what I love, is when you get to a certain place, you have options. You have options. And I want you to remember that when you have done the work, you have to realize, I've done the work. I'm a great catch. I know who I am. I have something to offer, and I have options. And that'll save you some tears. That'll save you some heartache. That will save you sometimes even money. Because you can get into some things and you spent tons of money, tons of time, and wasted a lot of tears, when if you would just settle down in some areas and be willing to adjust a little bit, you'll be all right. And that's it. Those are the tips I have for you today.
Wow, that was fire. Absolutely. I need everybody to type in the comments, I have options. If you're married, don't type that. No, type that if you're married. I don't want nobody's husband coming for me. I have options.
Yes.
Oh, that was so good. And another thing he said, do not invite fixer uppers.
Uppers.
Fixer.
That's right.
Uppers.
Fixer uppers.
And when you said that, what came to me is sometimes, you end up coming in alignment with the assignment.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, that was like, come on, little paper here. I'm telling you, that was so good. I'm signing up for when you do these seminars and everything, because I'm telling you, I don't know about you, but that was good. Listen, Sandra, please also let them know where they can reach you and get more of these phenomenal nuggets.
You can go to thepowerhouseexperience.com, and you can get either of the books that I have, the prayers, the one for prayers, and then you can also get the Ultimate Guide to Chastity. And then if you're interested in prayer as a whole, I do a 4 a.m. prayer live stream every morning. Right now we're in the 22 days of prayer challenge, and that's on YouTube, or you can go to the Facebook group, The Powerhouse Experience.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so powerful and timely. I saw all the women, they were just writing notes, and they was like, yeah. Everyone was getting excited because we could all relate to, things that you were saying, like, oh, that was a red flag, right? Right there. And I cannot wait for when you come on again and just really share more, especially on the topic of rejection. I feel like we need to definitely do a gathering when we're talking about rejection, how to overcome rejection, because it's so loaded and it springs so much different things. When you said that, I just highlighted it and I was like, we're gonna tackle that one. Okay. Thank you so much. For sharing. I'm going to bring you down and bring up our beautiful Elisa.
Hey, oh my God. I was writing notes too. I was like, oh man, I've done that, the fixer-upper thing. Yep. I just got out of one of those. And now I'm starting all over again. So now I got some good tips. I look at like all three of those things. I thought I was in a good place, and then I fell right and did all three mistakes just recently.
Well, this is where the self-confidence comes in. So I'm going to turn it over to you. And let us know some tips on self-confidence.
Well, yeah, I thought maybe I'd share my story. I realized I hadn't really done that as well. But yeah, I also got some tips as well. But yeah,
whichever works best for you. You can either just share your story or give us some tips or combine them both.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, back in 2011, I found myself at rock bottom. So I'm from Canada. I'm in Vancouver, and I lived in London for 5 years. So when I just moved to London, I found myself heartbroken out of an emotionally abusive relationship. I found myself homeless, and I was jobless, and I didn't really have any local friends yet, and broke because I had been traveling and just moved. And, like many of the other women in this call, I felt that for the first time, I felt the weight of depression, and my confidence was just so incredibly low. But I was able eventually to find a home, which kind of gave me some hope that this move to London was going to work. And I found myself just lying there on the couch one day, and it was all scrunched up. It was like a little love seat. It was a rent-to-furnished place, and I was watching TV. And, it was a comedy show, and it wasn't even funny anymore. And then my phone buzzes, and I slowly, reach over to grab it. It was a text from a woman that I had been traveling with. before, and she had just moved to London a few months after me, and she wanted to meet up for a drink. And I was like, that means I'm gonna have to like get up and I'm gonna have to shower and leave the house. You know, who wants to do that when you're feeling so low? But I was grateful to have a friend, and because I hadn't met many of those yet. And she sent me another text suggesting that we go to a tea shop in Camden. And I stared at that phone, I think, for maybe about 10 minutes, just debating how do I respond, because I really did not feel like getting off the couch. But she knew I wasn't doing anything, right? She knew I wasn't working yet, and I didn't really have an excuse. So fine, I'll go, because she'd sent me a third text. So I dragged myself off the couch and I showered and I went to meet her, but it was November, so it was like dark and cold outside. And when I met her, she greeted me with this really warm hug. And we went into this tea shop, and it was so cute. You know, these little comfy armchairs and tables. It was decorated with those cute teapots and cups and saucers. And, you know, they're all the bone china ones that are all decorated beautifully. And I ordered a mint tea, and it smelled divine, and it was warm in my cold hands. And we chatted over the tea, and she asked me, you know, what I wanted out of my life in London. And I, having just gotten out of that emotionally abusive relationship for years, I hadn't been asked that question. In years, I was only doing what I was told and being guided in every way. And yeah, what did I want? I was completely stumped. I wasn't even sure who I was anymore. I knew that I didn't want to feel stuck and miserable anymore. You know, that was for sure. So I tried to not burst into tears in the tea shop, and she suggested that I meditate on it. And this question is really what lifted me out of my low state and eventually led me to be a confidence coach. It gave me freedom to think for myself, and I started really to evaluate my life, like every part of it. What did I want? Who did I want to be? How did I want to show up in this world? And I went on this 2-year journey. Well, actually, I think that we're always on the journey. Even now, I was just saying, like, remade the mistakes with the men. So here I come back again and back on that journey, but to figure it out and to rebuild my life from the ground up. And I started to go after the things that I wanted. I started to set goals for myself. I used meditation to become more mindful. I took a course that introduced me to affirmations, which one of my tips that I talked about earlier, because I really believe in those, and identifying, what I wanted out of my career. I read personal development books. I learned a lot of things, but I felt like I did it the hard way. I didn't get like a coach or a mentor. I was really raised when I was growing up with the shame of getting help. And I'm so glad that you talked about that earlier, like get some help, it's okay to ask for help. But at the time, that was a source of shame for me. So, I was just told to kind of figure it out on your own. And so I did, and I stumbled through it all, and it took a really long time. And it took a long time for me to learn to love myself. And it took a long time for me to speak my truth, and which was terrifying because, I didn't have any proper communication tools. And I know that I definitely rubbed some people the wrong way when I tried to communicate some boundaries, for sure. And I discovered what my values were, and I knew that I really needed to start living them so that I could be the person that I wanted to be. I could be my authentic self. We talked about identity a lot today. And so I was trying to figure out who that was. Who am I now, as opposed to this multitude of personas and roles that I've been playing my entire life. Actually, I found another persona. It was, I guess like about a year and a half ago. I was like, what? I thought I got rid of all these. And I was actually being authentic. Sometimes we play these roles, and it took courage, and I really wish that I had a support system, that I could share my struggles with, and learn the hard way how to break through challenges, and there were so many ups and downs, but I did eventually find my confidence again, because before that, I was a confident person, and I found happiness because I made my life the way that I wanted it to be, and through doing all those steps. And that's what led me to being this confidence coach, because as I said earlier, I developed this huge set of toolkit of all these different tools to increase self-confidence so that I could achieve my goals. And I created the confidence method, which is like a 10-step system that kind of takes you through that. I think of all things, people are like, oh, you're a confident person. And I remember just thinking like, how did I get there? How did I do that? So I actually plotted it out, and so I can really help people to get there with that. And so if we think about a tip, so earlier we talked about affirmations, and another one I would love to share is about boundaries. This is the way that we can really increase our confidence and step into our power, right? Because boundaries are the act of being able to succinctly and effectively communicate who you are, what you stand for, and what you won't stand for. It's a way of staying within the bounds of what you want and not being pulled out of it. Because sometimes other people, if they watch us venture into something new in life or empowering ourselves and stepping into our personal power and making this great progress, they may, make negative comments about it. And this is not okay for them to do that. It's a perfect opportunity to communicate a boundary. And you may notice that some people who are close to you, they may feel threatened by, when you embark on this kind of journey, and they may even attempt to do whatever they can so that you don't do what they want. They try to sabotage you. And then you might feel guilty and feel threatened. And then you'll sabotage yourself and your own goals and your own lifestyle to be accepted by them, because we all want love and safety and belonging. We get that with our tribes. And so if those relationships are forced to shift, it can be scary. And so sometimes we want to stay where we are. But I really want you to remember that it's not your fault that they feel bad. It's actually very healthy to uphold your boundaries and allow other people to have their experience of that. You are not responsible for their experience of your own personal empowerment. And, this was true for me when I lived abroad. I was gone for 11 years. And when I would come home, I would receive comments, be like, oh, when are you actually moving back? Even though I would use my vacation and my money to come home every year to visit my family, it was never good enough. I always got complaints. I never felt that they were grateful that I was being there. It was never enough. So when you think about other people who may not have the courage to take that bold step in their life, they may unconsciously hope that you fail, right? Because your success might be uncomfortably challenging for them. So when you step towards valuing yourself more and your relationships, they kind of can be forced to shift. And so this is where you really need to stay focused on your goals and set healthy boundaries with anybody that might challenge them. So what you want to do is let people in your life know that you're embarking on this new journey, what it is that you're going after, and that it's really important to you and why it's really important to you. And it may need to be repeated to them several times, but if you can do it in a kind and assertive and respectful way, they'll eventually come around. And if they try and make you feel bad or anything, you can use this communication tool. It goes like this. You acknowledge that that you hear them and what they want. Acknowledge you hear them, what they want. And then you explain how you feel and what you want. So that's how you do it. So an example can be, if someone is like, say you want to be healthier and someone's like, hey, come out for a drink. You can be like after work or something and be like, oh, I know going out for a drink after work would be like so much fun. But I have an early morning meeting that's really important to me. So I'm going to stay in, or I'm trying to only drink on weekends. So I'm not going to go out during the week, something like that. So you acknowledge them and what they say, and then you say what you want, and how you feel and what you want. And sometimes it kind of needs to be repeated, and you can also give an alternative, like, oh yeah, I'd really love to see you. Like, why don't we go for a walk at lunchtime instead, or something like that. It's a way to, kind of give them an alternative that's aligned with what you want and what you're going after. Yeah, so that's my second tip, the affirmations and boundaries is a way to increase your confidence and step into your power.
That was amazing. I saw all the ladies taking notes. I loved what you said about setting boundaries. That's
so important.
That is so loaded. That alone could be a whole broadcast on just the power of setting boundaries, the power of your no, the power of your yes. Like really knowing that's why it's so important to know what our core values are. And I want everybody to type in the comment, it's not your fault if they feel bad. I feel like that needs to be a t-shirt. Like, it's not my fault if you feel bad. Listen, Elisa, you need to do that t-shirt. It's not my fault if you feel bad. Okay, I think everybody needs to understand, because especially if you're an empathy person and you really tap into other people's feelings as well, sometimes you can neglect how you feel, neglect what you want in order to please somebody else. So I loved what you said in just sharing about that, because I think sometimes we don't really even acknowledge that we're actually doing that. So thank you so much for sharing. And is there any way that people can reach you and tap into what it is, you know, that you're doing? Maybe someone might need to book a session with you. They might be in a place where they need to build up their confidence, their self-esteem, and need your services.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach me on inspirationbyalisa.com. So on there, you can see my website, see the programs, and book a complimentary session. So I do like an hour session for us to get to know each other and what you want for your confidence and for yourself. You can also subscribe to my newsletter through the website. So I send out weekly newsletters where you get like tips and hear more stories. And then on Instagram and Facebook, I'm Inspiration by Alisa, where I do like Tuesday tidbits and affirmations and quotes. Yeah,
amazing. Thank you so much, Elisa, for sharing. It's been so awesome having you on today. We're gonna hear from Jenny next. Let's get Jenny on. 1 second. Jenny.
That's awesome. I really enjoyed hearing from all these amazing women. Okay. I guess, yeah, I think I mentioned how everything really started from this moment of my life, you know, you call the dark night of the soul, you know, which I'm sure a lot of people have had, that brought them to a place of light, right, where they're more enlightened and inspired. And my place was this desperate, exhausted, and depleted mom who wore so many hats. And I had a teaching job, and I was a mother and a homemaker and a wife and everything else. And I was also burdened by my cultural expectation of how a woman should be. So I grew up in a very conservative Chinese family in Indonesia. So outside of me is this conservative Muslim community. And I also went to Catholic church, and I went to Catholic schools. So you could imagine all the pressure, right, of what I should be. And as a woman, I grew up as, you know, I grew up being told what I couldn't do as a woman than what I could do. And I was programmed to be, well, you know, like what a lot of cultures program women to be: baby makers, homemakers. and that's how I grew up to be, you know, expecting that, okay, by the time I'm 20 something, if I'm not married, something is wrong with me. So I have to be married by, like, you know, 20 something. But you know what? Everybody is placed in a place where they're supposed to be. Now I could see it, because, you know, at that point, although, okay, I can't say that I was happy in the marriage. And then I became a mother, and I had this unconscious story that was running underneath, that being a mother, I was supposed to, I don't know, break my body in order for me to provide to everyone else in the family. And that caused me to be in a place of depletion and exhaustion, and in addition to everything else in the Western world, because then at that point I'm already in the US. And that led me to this extreme case of unhappiness and despair. I had my suicidal thoughts too. And at some point, it led me to a divorce. And I just had this just broken relationships with everybody else around me. I didn't have any friends. I was always angry. And I hated my job. But one thing that gave me hope was that point when I stepped out of that hamster wheel, right? I was waking up every morning to a job that I did not like. But for some reason, one morning I woke up just a little bit earlier for me to just, oh gosh, like I hated my life. And but what could I do right now? It's like, okay, I'm already awake. Let's turn on the music. And I just intuitively moved to the music. Hey, this is fun. Like I used to love to dance. Why am I not dancing anymore? And then interestingly, I really liked it. So I decided to do it the following morning, and I did it the following morning. And then I decided, hey, I'm having so much fun. Why not just do it every morning? And so I decided to wake up 10 minutes earlier just so I could dance to some fun music. And that's what really what became the game changer for me. Because I started that habit of leaning into what made me happy for just 10 minutes in the morning. When I showed up at work, which is a teacher at an inner city school, where the kids also come from environmentally challenged. So a lot of the kids in school, they come from families who have problems, poverty, probably drug problems and all, and they came to school needing love, which I could not give because I was just not available. I was exhausted. And that was me as a teacher and as a mother. I was also emotionally unavailable because I was tired all the time. And I remember when I was asked, like, how do you compare when you were tired back then and then now as a parent? And it actually broke my heart thinking about like how I was rejecting my child because I was tired all the time. Like I could not read to him. I could not I couldn't play with them because all I thought about was that I just want to take a nap, just leave me alone, right? And compared to now, when I prioritize what makes me happy, when I start prioritizing my own well-being, I prioritize what nourishes me. I'm so much more available for my child. I could play with him and I would want to do fun things with him. I am so much a better parent, and I'm also a better teacher because I'm a teacher, and I'm a better friend. So what really makes me happy, which is a great question, was just a little time in the morning asking myself, what would make me come alive at this point? What would bring me exhilaration just for this few minutes in this morning? And why in the morning? It is because when you wake up in the morning, your brain is in between this time. I'm sorry, it's a state of the brain wave of delta, which is like deep sleep state, and also the groggy when you just wake up kind of state. And the scientists would call that the hypnotic state. So when you put that seed of, say, positivity, gratitude, or the seed of, oh, what's going to make me, how is my day going to be fun? Or my day is going to be so fun today because you have consistently been doing what brings fun for you that morning. And so that you're eager to wake up the next morning, and you're eager to wake up the next morning because your body and your mind have associated positively to this fun habit. For me, it's the dancing, right? And then, hey, it's going to be so much fun, and you would wake up with this positive energy. and you would move on with this fun thing that you're supposed to do, that you're going to do. And you do that consistently, and it changes your mindset from, oh my God, it's such a hard life, I can't wake up to this life, to I want to wake up to something fun that nourishes me, right? And doing that consistently changes my personality. It changes how I viewed my work. Before, my work was more, oh, I'm going to do my work just so I get my paycheck. Just I'm going to do my work and leave me alone, right? Like what a lot of people do. And also, like, I become a happier parent, which makes my child a happier child. And like my life changes because of that 10 minutes of my life, which later, because I have so much fun doing what is fun, like the dancing, and I want to have more fun dancing. So I add 5 more minutes to my morning. And then because I figure out, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to add something else that's more fun, maybe a challenge. I want to learn, difficult salsa steps, or, some challenging yoga moves. I added 5 more minutes, and then I would add other things to enrich my spiritual, my spiritual life, or enrich my life intellectually. I had 5 more minutes. 15 more minutes, and I learned how to, juicing. So I added 10 more minutes so I could juice. And so now I have 2 hours of morning routine that is just for me. And say if I work on when I'm working on my routine, when I'm dancing and my son wakes up, you know what? We could have fun together. Let's dance together, right? And it doesn't have to be a dance. Like for me, that's what makes me come alive. But for some other people, it could be a walk outside, yoga, or maybe Peloton, because Peloton, you have the screen and you got these attractive instructors that motivates and inspire you. I was like, oh yeah, I want to wake up again tomorrow so I can meet my hot instructor. Cool. Do that, right? Whatever makes you come alive. And because in the process, you are connecting with yourself, you're connecting with that playful self, you're connecting with what makes you happy. And that's what's the most authentic within you, right? You're connecting with your authenticity. And we were talking about boundaries earlier. When you are like months, so weeks and months, right? You're connected with what makes you happy. Automatically, you are creating your own boundaries. You are more sensitive to what makes you unhappy, and you can step out of it automatically. You will automatically reject what makes you unhappy because you're so used to doing, you're used to choosing what makes you happy, right? And so that's the only, for me, that's the only way. Like at this point, one tip is wake up 10 minutes earlier tomorrow and decide what makes you come alive. How can you have fun in this moment, in these 10 minutes? What makes you the happiest? Is it maybe walking your dog and maybe watch your dog being present? Because when you watch animals and they see bushes, oh, bushes, trees, oh, trees, like everything's happy, right? It's like, why can't we do that? Right? Being present in the moment. It could be, okay, what makes you happy is some simple movement like yoga or singing, right? Like whatever that makes your heart sing. At that point, just do that for 10 minutes. And then you are nourishing your heart, you're nourishing your emotional health. And then you are taking responsibility on what makes you happy. And that's the happy energy that you will generate. And later on during the day, when you interact, when the kids wake up, when you have to interact with everybody at work, you are interacting with them with this solidified place of happiness and love, because you have loved yourself first. Right? So before you show up to, for everything else in the world, you show up for yourself first. Nourish yourself first. Love yourself first. And that's why the morning.
Oh, I love it, Jenny. That was so good. I hope all of the women are going to accept this challenge to wake up 10 more minutes earlier. And we said we was going to do this, ask this question, what makes you happy? So did anybody get a chance to really think what makes you happy? And are you going to commit to doing it tomorrow morning? I want to hear.
Just have fun.
To hear you off mute. Like, listen, my daughter's been trying to get me to go to the gym at 5 a.m. in the morning with her. I don't know if it's going to make me happy. I don't know, but I'm going to try.
Yeah, no, don't even try. If somebody told me a few years ago,
Yes.
like, why don't you wake up 10 minutes earlier? And I might have said, you know what? I would rather sleep 10 minutes or like 10 minutes more. 2 hours going to the gym. Are you kidding me? No way. Like that, because that is not sustainable. If you want to if you want to adopt a new habit, first it needs to be easy. It needs to be fun and simple.
Yes.
That's because you need to associate, your body and your mind need to associate that new habit with positivity.
I'm thinking of the new body that I'm gonna get, so maybe because I'm really trying to be looking at my daughter.
Yeah, I know, but in order, when you want to start, you need to start gentle.
Yes, I hear that.
2 hours, that's a shock to your system. That's not gonna work.
Are you hearing this? Are you hearing this from Coach Jenny? We need to start working up in the house before we go to the gym.
Yes, start with 10 minutes. And then incrementally, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes in the next month, maybe 20 minutes in the next couple of months. But be gentle with your body in the process. That's really important to make it sustainable, at least.
Awesome. So who would like to share what they're going to get up and do 10 minutes earlier tomorrow morning that's going to make them happy? Is everyone still thinking?
I started with belly dancing because it makes me feel sexy. And it's so much fun. Like, all the drum, all the drum beats. And it just made me feel very, I don't know. I just had so much fun with that. But, it could be different for everybody. But I would like to hear from everyone what makes them happy within those 10 minutes.
I'll start.
Go ahead, Kanisha.
Well, for me, I had a thought when you mentioned it first, Coach. For me, what makes me really happy is like when I become very present. And the reason why I say that is that I find myself just going, just doing. It's like you're programmed, right? So get up, kids are ready, kids at school. Okay, what's next? Take care of baby. What's next? So I'm going. And even if I stop, I've not really stopped in my mind. So when I do become present, like when baby's doing something that's quite funny to me, when I've had a moment where I was like, oh, the house is quite quiet, or whatever it is, when I become present and aware, I find myself taking that in because I'm aware and I'm present. So I've been trying to practice becoming more aware and becoming more present. Um, what's that word? Like I do it by myself. I don't accidentally do it. I actually stop and say, okay, it's time to become present. So I would say becoming present is one of my main thing that brings warmth to me because one, I realize that I'm alive and it gives me a moment to thank God for everything that I have, my children, my husband, and just the comfortability that we have. And I'll say that's it, becoming present and gratitude.
Amazing. Sandra, would you like to share?
One of the things that really makes me happy outside of when I'm coaching a person and the light bulb turns on. The other thing would be learning. I love to learn. I get a I wouldn't say a high from learning, but I love to master. And once I master something, then I move on to something else. I'm a creative, so if you're creative, you know how the brain is just But I'm a lifelong learner, and learning really makes me happy. I get excited about learning something and mastering it, and then once I master it, then I've kind of lost the shiny of it, and I'm usually on to something different. But yeah.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
So in addition to me having fun, so I also added 5 to 10 minutes. Then after that, because I had so much fun, it's a challenge. And I don't know if I mentioned that the challenge could be something new that I've never learned before, like learning salsa. It was hard for me, like all the steps, but 5 minutes every day. After 2 weeks, my body got used to that. Like I get some muscle memory. It's like, hey, this is not so hard anymore after 2 weeks. And imagine if you keep doing that for the next couple of more weeks and then the month. Like, oh, you're a skilled salsa dancer. Or language, if you want to learn language, every morning learn 2 words, right?
That's good.
So it's, so see, like you can accomplish anything because you're in touch with that part of you that still likes to grow, like kids.
Yes. Awesome.
Amazing. Elisa?
I know this might sound kind of cheesy, but like coaching really makes me happy. It sparks me so much. It's so empowering and powerful. And like I get so much out of it when I've been coached, and I get so much out of coaching people. Like I truly value having a profound impact on women's lives. If I can help a woman make an I am statement, like we're talking about affirmations, or so she can step into her personal power. If I can get to her place where she can say, I'm a strong, intelligent, capable woman, so like just makes me shine because she shines. And so I'm wondering if maybe spending some time, coming to my desk here in my PJs in the morning will get me up, because sometimes I will be in bed and I'll be like thinking about it. And sometimes what actually gets me up is all these ideas that I'm having or things I want to do with my business. And I find that that's like such a motivator. So maybe after I meditate, I'll come to my desk and work.
Now that's how you know that you actually have a purpose-driven job, when you just want to wake up and get to your desk and work. So that is amazing. I was thinking about it. One of the things that does make me happy is eating seafood, but I definitely do. And then I thought about ice cream, and then I thought, no, that's not going to work in the morning. But I remember when I was younger, I used to definitely love dancing. So I do like the beat of Afro beats. So I'm gonna commit to doing 10 minutes of Afro beats in the morning and learning some new moves, because I used to really love dancing. It used to keep me really fit. So maybe that might be my thing. So I might not be as good as I was back in the day. But as you said, when you start to build upon those little steps, you never know.
Yeah.
Right.
Do it, girl.
So I'm gonna commit to waking up and definitely doing some Afro beat steps and learning some new moves. But this has been so phenomenal. You all just coming on and sharing. Is there any final words before we wrap up on today that you'd like to share to someone on just becoming tomorrow's empowered women? I feel they got a wealth of information and some practical tips that they can really use as well. But if there's any final words that you'd like to wrap up with, just to encourage that woman on today, how she can become tomorrow, what she can do today really to become tomorrow's empowered women. And I think that you have done such an excellent job and just really outpouring. I'm sure every woman, you know, that listens to this broadcast on today is going to feel so full, like just running over with knowledge, wealth, information, and excited to really begin to this journey of just discovering who they are and stepping into their purpose and doing the things that make just something as simple as what Jenny said, you know, what makes you happy. And I had to really think, a lot of things make me happy, but what really, you know, really, you know, makes me happy. So I'm gonna really even go into that a little bit deeper as well. I'm definitely gonna try those moves, but I'm gonna go into that deeper and see what other things that I can do as well daily to just bring that few minutes of joy and build upon that. So any final takeaways or anything that you'd like to share before we wrap up on today?
Yeah, I could start. Like, thank you for bringing that what makes you happy. But I think for every activity, everything that we're about to step into, I would ask myself, how can I make it fun? Like right now, okay, I'm about to meet these fabulous women, and I'm like, you know, I feel a little nervous. It's like, I start comparing myself and all that. Like everybody does that, right? With social media and, you know, all of these comparisons that we're in. But instead of doing that, what about just asking yourself, how can this be more fun for me? Because when I'm connecting, when I'm more present, this is so much more fun because I'm connecting with everybody's wisdom. Or when I come and, you know, do something that I don't really like, I don't know, sometimes in the past it was lesson planning as a teacher. Then I would ask myself, how can I make this more fun? Or even taxes, right? Like, yeah, in the US, we're going to do that soon. How can I make this easier? How's that? If it's not fun, make it easier. So, yeah, that's my final words. Thank you.
Amazing. I love it. How can I make this more fun? I love it. Elisa, would you like to share?
Yeah, just final tip is that, and kind of what we were talking about before, like small steps, you know, really help. And just to realize that change makes time. And so we need to be patient with it. We need to, it takes commitment and it takes doing the work consistently. And so one thing I really learned is super helpful is to create a system for it, a system that works for your busy life so you can incorporate and integrate everything that you want to do. So for example, with affirmations, what I do is I have it in my phone. And every morning when I know I'm going to get up, I see the affirmation and then I can say it to myself. And then I'm saying to that myself, you know, in the morning as I'm in the shower and brushing my teeth, instead of going into maybe some negative narrative or whatever is going on in life, I can just say that positive affirmation of that day. And so that's my system of getting those positive wise words into my day. So yeah, realize it takes time and create a system that works for you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Sandra, would you like to share?
If I could leave last words with anyone that's watching, I would say you may have gotten off this live and you're thinking, boy, I have a lot of change in it. I have a lot of work to do. Don't look at it as having a whole lot of work to do. Look at it as one day at a time, and journal it, document it, because actually most times people are making a lot bigger change than you think you are. You may not feel like you're moving and growing, but really you are if you just keep moving forward, if you just keep moving forward and keep your eyes ahead and not on the past failures, all the past things. Just keep moving forward, and before you know it, you'll look around and you are a completely different person, even from last year or the next year. So don't look at it like you have a whole bunch of changing to do, because you're already pretty awesome now. But you always want to grow. You always want to be better, your best self. And that's what I would say to anyone watching today.
Thank you so much, Sandra. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Just taking things one step at a time.
Yes.
Kanisha, would you like to share?
I'll leave with you are enough. I think that is so important. Just know that whatever is ahead of you, whatever changes you have planned, or whatever you're thinking that you need to do, just know you are enough. Like, that person is already in you. It's just going to take some time to cultivate and come into her, but you are already enough.
I think that's just the mic drop right there. Yes, yes, yes. I need every woman to type that on the screen right now. I am enough. Make it personal. I am enough. I love it. Thank you all so much. And thank you each and every person that's tuning in and those watching the replays. I pray, that this was impactful for you. This is Empowering Women to Win, our virtual monthly gatherings. We do this every month towards the ending of the month, usually on the last Friday of the month. We come and gather as women to empower, equip, and encourage one another. We also have our Empowering Women to Win conference, in-person conference in London, UK, coming up in June. So registration is open for that gathering. It's going to be phenomenal. We've got so many entrepreneurs, business owners, women in business, women in ministry, just coming together to empower and equip and share their expertise. And I think, as I said, sometimes it's so important to just be in the room, because you never know who you're going to connect to. It's going to be a time of networking, of sharing, of developing personally and professionally. One of the key things for me that I've invested so much money in, and I don't regret one penny, is personal development. That has been the key thing for me, just having accountability, having mentors and leaders that can really stretch me to my next level, having people, my peers that I always say that you need 3 different levels in your life to have that key to balance. If I was going to leave any final words of becoming tomorrow's empowered woman, is to make sure you're not just a woman that is pouring out to those that need you, that you've got those that you pour out to, those that are on your level, that you encourage one another, and you've got your mentors, your leaders, people that are where you aspire to be, that can pour back into you, that can stretch you to that next capacity, so that you can grow and you can develop and you can become the next level of you, because there's always another version. There's always another version to who you're becoming. So the moment you think you know yourself, then you realize, hold on a minute, I don't know myself that well. And you begin to learn yourself all over again. And it's just such a beautiful journey when you are aware of it, and when you gather with people that open up your understanding that much more, and you think, oh, actually, I've covered these areas and I'm really strong in these areas, but this area I'm a bit weak in, and that's okay. So now you understand the areas that you're weak in, and you can connect to somebody intentionally that's strong in the areas that you are weak in. And that's one of the key things that you can do, is if you see that you're weak in a particular area, acknowledge it, and connect to somebody that's strong in the areas that you are weak, so then you can begin to strengthen those weak areas, so you can become more, before you know it, you become more stronger in the areas that you were once weaker on, because you're exposed to somebody that is naturally their strength. So you begin to learn techniques and you begin to learn skills to help you develop in that area. So everyone know, this is Venesia Williams Empowers. This is Empowering Women to Win Gathering. I thank you all for sharing, for liking, for commenting, for each and every person that's going to take the time out to connect to these phenomenal women. Make sure you connect. Make sure you go on their websites. Make sure you go onto their Instagrams, their Facebooks, and just show some love, because they freely came on today and they outpoured to you. So I want you to definitely take the time to appreciate them and connect with them also. So I'll be back on again next week. Make sure you, if you ain't following me, what you doing? Where you been? You better make sure you do that automatically. Subscribe, like. You never know, what's coming with me, because God's always just giving me more creative things to do. And I absolutely love it. So make sure you definitely stay connected, so we can see how we can support one another, how we can help each other, and how we can get connected. So I'm gonna close this broadcast now. Once again, I love you. I know that when you win, I win, and we are all winning together. It is a win-win. Okay, thank you all so much. I truly appreciate you all.